Hi guys, welcome back or welcome to Storytime Society. We have our special guest here, Poppy. Sometimes she likes to be pet and sometimes she literally repels my pets. Like her body will move any shape or form to repel my hand from touching her. But right now I think she's liking it. And other times she's literally like, peasant, if you don't pet me. She'll like rub all around, like be so sweet, and then other times she's literally like a little devil, but it's okay. We love her. That's why she's bi-colored because no. She literally walked out on the podcast. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. She just decided she didn't want to do it anymore and she's too nervous, so she's just went in my room and she's done. She's done with the podcast. So that was very short-lived, but yeah, anyways, let's get into the episode. Except, first of all, grab your drink. Please don't clown on me for this. I love Mountain Dew Zero, Diet Mountain Dew. I love me a Mountain Dew as well, but I'm not trying to drink 700 grams of sugar, so I choose this. And I think it's in my blood because my dad's addicted to it. He drinks at least 1 to 2 Mountain Dews a day. When he's on a diet, he'll drink Diet Mountain Dew, but when he's not, he'll just drink regular Mountain Dew in the morning. Like when he would drive me to my mom's house after my night with him, he would go to the gas station first thing in the morning, 7 a.m., get a Mountain Dew every day, every single day. So I'm sorry, but I didn't ask for this life. It was just passed down to me through genes. So anyways, so yeah, grab whatever you have, some water, I don't know, maybe you're healthy, like electrolytes or something, protein shake, or maybe you have a pop, and that's okay. Whatever you enjoy. Oh my god, stop it. Okay, there was something else I wanted to say, but I don't remember. Oh yeah, obviously like and comment and subscribe and share with a friend or family if they would like this show. And it is extremely, like, I feel like I'm living in Twilight right now. What is Forks? Is that what it's called? Forks or something? Where they live? That's where I feel like I'm living right now because it's been raining for days and it's so dead and depressing outside. And it's been like that for a few days, but I honestly don't mind it because it's usually always so sunny here and sometimes I get sick of it. Okay, so our first story is called Am I the Asshole for Banning My Husband and Father-in-Law from the Delivery Room Due to Their Intensely Stressful / Creepy Behavior During My Pregnancy? All right, let's see. A lot of context. Okay, a lot of context. The character limit cuts off, but here's the gist. My husband and I are expecting our first child, which I knew would be a really sensitive issue as his own mother died in childbirth with him. We met with a marriage counselor to talk through things at the beginning, and he swears he's been seeing his own therapist twice a month throughout my pregnancy. I don't want to call him a liar, but I'm fairly sure he's either not going or not talking about the big issue. He and his father, a hugely active part of our lives, are completely convinced that I'm going to die in childbirth. They won't openly admit it, but their behavior has reached the point where it is constantly making me feel stressed and uncomfortable. When it was husband saying, please make sure your life insurance is up to date and I'd like you to meet with the lawyer and draft a will, I was like, that's kind of intense, but okay, if that makes you feel better. When husband asked me to go through all of my possessions and inventory, what I wanted to be saved for the baby versus what I wanted to be returned to my family in the event of my death, I put my foot down and said absolutely not. Too morbid. No way. My father-in-law, who lives a few blocks away and eats dinner with us 2 to 4 nights a week, got on my case about how I was making things difficult for my husband in the event that he will be a grieving widower with a newborn. I'm just going to add here that I've had a completely complication-free pregnancy and have no reason to think I will die screaming in the coming weeks. When I tell my husband this, he calls me paranoid, but I feel like my father-in-law wants me to die. His whole life identity for the past 35 years has been amazing single dad, never dated or had close friends or even hobbies really, and it seems like he's looking forward to being able to guide my husband through what he went through. At this point, I'd honestly be happy to never see my father-in-law again, and I certainly don't want him in the delivery room, especially since he told me he was putting his foot down about me not being allowed to have an epidural or laughing gas. He's a commanding presence, and I know that whatever he wants in the delivery room, he will get. I know people will say, oh, L&D nurses would never let that happen, but you haven't met this man. My husband, in addition to backing his dad on everything, acts like my due date is my death date and has completely pulled away from me. Every minute with him is morbid, stressful, and a reminder that our marriage seems to be crumbling. No matter how many times I tell him his behavior makes me stressed and upset, it's just getting worse, and I do not want it around me while I'm concentrating on giving birth. Do I owe it to my husband to let him stress and upset me during labor? Is his presence at the birth more important than a safe and healthy delivery? My therapist says no, but this whole thing has been so weird. I feel like I need some outside perspective. Okay, what? These people clearly haven't worked through their trauma. Which, no shade, but like, don't project it onto someone else that is pregnant. Like, I would be so pissed because I already have like such big fears about giving birth for some reason. I mean, it's a pretty big thing, and I feel like it's kind of scary because you're literally pushing a human out of your cooter, and I'm really nervous about like how my body will react. So if this happened, I think that they would convince me into dying. Like, if my boyfriend was just always like, oh my God, my mom died, so like, you're gonna die. Can you please draft, like, every single day of my pregnancy was like, hey, will you draft up your will? Hey, will you let me know like what you want me to keep when you die and when you have this baby and you die? Like, I would genuinely die during birth because they were convincing me to die. Like, that would be my life because I would manifest it for myself, because you can't be putting this terrible negative energy in the air before giving birth for the first time, especially knowing what happened to your own mother and your own wife. Why do you want someone else to be like, I understand being like, okay, well, this happened to me, so I want to take precautions. Okay, that's fine. Take a precaution. If that really makes you feel better, if she drafts a will, okay, draft a will. Stop it there. That is good, you know? Like, I doubt she wants to be thinking about writing her will when she's pregnant, but if you want to compromise and, you know, I'll write a will and then that's it. No more bringing it up. Never. No more, because I don't want to hear about it. You're already pregnant. It's already stressful. It's already stressful enough to be growing a human side of you, let alone all the hormones that come with that. Like, please don't mention dying, because I already think every day that I'm going to die from something. Like, I'm like, oh my God. I hate going to the doctor, because if I go to the doctor, then I'll find out about something, and I don't want to find out. Ignorance is bliss to me. That's always my mindset. Is like, I genuinely hate going to the doctor, and then when I'm forced to go to the doctor, because it's like, okay, well, I have to have a yearly checkup because that's what everyone does, and I can't like neglect myself, but I'll get so stressed beforehand because I'm like, ugh, they're gonna tell me I have like ovarian cancer or something. And so someone else like convincing me that, oh, it's a done deal, I'm dying, and that's just what's gonna happen. Okay, so we have an update. This is a long overdue update. I know I worried everyone, and I'm grateful every day for every ounce of concern that was sent my way. I'll be honest, I forgot the login information for my other account, and fussing about a throwaway Reddit account wasn't the highest priority in my life at the time. I had a beautiful and healthy baby girl, and I divorced my ex-husband. I lived, obviously. To get right into it, I was unfortunately right about my suspicion that my ex wasn't going to therapy. I sat down with him and very firmly put my foot down about my mother being my support person in the delivery room alongside him, and that my thankfully ex-father-in-law was not to be anywhere near the delivery room. I also was very adamant that I was getting an epidural, and ex-father-in-law had no say about any medical procedures I may take. I also told him that I was seeking my own therapist as his and his father's actions were worrying me. My ex-husband didn't take it well, to put it simply. I had never heard him shout at me like that, and it scared me a little. My fury outweighed my fear not long after, however. He told me I didn't need a therapist, that he was just trying to be prepared. I admittedly lost my temper and told him that I wasn't going to die. It wasn't my fault his father's trauma wormed its way into his head, and that he needed to fix it without taking it out on me. He yelled at me that he didn't need therapy. That caught me a little off guard. I asked him why he went to his therapist and was given advice about my death if he felt he didn't need it. His expression gave it away, and he caved not long after. It turns out there was no therapist. It was just his dad. During the times he was supposed to be at therapy, he was with his dad. I'm still fuming. In the end, I gave him a choice. He could either go to therapy or I was leaving. I had enough of their delusions. He chose to refuse therapy, and I packed my things and stayed with my mother. At that point, I still wasn't planning on divorce. I had hoped that we could possibly fix our marriage, as naive as it sounds. But my ex decided that if he couldn't convince me to go back, then he would get his father and the rest of his family to do it. I had to change my number due to the amount of harassment and vitriol they hurled at me. In the end, it was just my mother in the delivery room as I gave birth. I'm thankful for the nursing staff. They were a godsend, and I felt safe that neither my ex or his father would get even remotely close to the room without my say-so. The divorce is still ongoing, so I can't give too many details on that front, but I have hopes that we can work out a tentative co-parenting agreement. My ex isn't a bad father. He loves our baby girl, but our relationship is done. And as long as I live, ex-father-in-law, I will never be near my daughter. I'll wrap this up. I've got an adorable little toddler tugging at my leg at the moment. I'm alive, I'm happy, and I've got my baby in my arms. Life is good. Oh, also to add on to that, isn't it like not that common anymore to die of birth? To die giving birth? Like, I know that was a common thing back in the day because of like the medicine and stuff, but I thought that it wasn't really common anymore because they have like so many things that can prevent that. Like, I know that it's still possible, but I don't think it's that common anymore. I could be wrong, but okay, OP here with some answers. The poster responded to my DMs in the second throwaway account a few months back, which compelled me to post this update. She attempted to post in Am I the Asshole with the update, but due to not having the login information for the previous account, the mods refused to publish the update. She, according to her own account, gave up trying to update afterwards. The account seems to be suspended now, so it's dubious if any more answers will be coming. I'm not the original poster. Okay. Alright, let's see what the comments are. Jesus, is this the one where people were speculating in the replies that husband and father-in-law were planning to kill her in childbirth? I always wondered what happened. All told, this is probably the best possible outcome because that whole story was messed up beyond belief. I'm pretty sure it is. It's one of the ones that always stood out to me because it was so awful. You know, I thought the possibility of the father-in-law and husband planning to kill her in childbirth was a little far-fetched, but it just seems to me that father-in-law and husband were so committed to their idea of dying in childbirth that while they probably wouldn't actively cause her death, they would embrace the chance to allow her to die by passively denying her care. And if that denied care just had her deal with pain, either chronic or acute, but not kill her, well, that's just her punishment for living. And hey, X can still be the good husband supporting his disabled wife. I'm of the opinion that any man who says their wife shouldn't have an epidural should pick from the list of things that women have reported are as painful as childbirth and subject themselves to it for 24 hours with no painkillers. Compound fracture of the femur would be an easy one for him to inflict on himself. Yeah, for real. Like, why do you... Back to the men trying to have a say in what women are doing with their body and with their, like, health and medical things. Like, leave me alone. Like, just leave me alone. Because I'm gonna do whatever I want to do when I'm giving birth. Because I am getting an epidural. I will tell you that. I will never be having a natural birth in my life. Okay? Sorry. As beautiful as that is and as badass as you are for doing that, I'm sorry, but I cannot relate to the badassery. I'm not a badass. And I never claimed to be one because that sounds like probably the worst thing in my mind. I already am like, when am I ever going to be ready to have kids? Because I'm so nervous about just genuinely giving birth. And like, also the way that I'm going to react while I'm pregnant. Am I going to be like an absolute monster? And after I'm pregnant, am I going to be absolutely so depressed that I'm going to like, you know, that is something that scares me, especially because I am on medication for depression and anxiety. And before, I did not have good thoughts in this brain up here. I did not have good thoughts. I would think about, like, trigger warning, by the way, because I'm about to talk about, not for long, but just a little bit. I would literally, like, think about ways to unalive myself. Like, I would be like, oh, this would be, like, easy. And then, like, I didn't want to do it in a way that I need to stop. Wait, am I okay? I'm fine now, okay, because my medicine is like so good, and I've been to therapy and stuff, and when I was going to therapy, it was definitely a lot better, but then like slowly after I stopped therapy, it started like getting bad again. And yeah, I would just like think about the most insane things in my brain, and I'd be like, oh, like it's fine. I'll just like, I would be like, oh, maybe it'd be a good thing if I like got in a car crash right now. Like I probably would like that, honestly, and things like that, which were not okay. And if you have those thoughts, please see a doctor, because I waited so long because I was like always thinking, oh, maybe it's just a bad day, because I don't have good days, and I'd be like, oh, like I like life, but like I don't like it that much, you know? I would be like, oh, like I'm happy today, but there would still be the thing in the back of my head where I'd be like, I'm happy, but I'm not, like I also kind of am not. I don't know how to explain it, but it was just such a weird feeling. And I'm glad that I don't feel that way anymore. And it's honestly crazy that I don't feel that way anymore, because I never thought that I would, like, I thought that was just me. I was like, okay, this is just the way that I am. This is just the way that I think. And nothing is gonna stop that. So I might as well just try to figure out a way to live with it, because I've already tried therapy. And clearly that worked. But like, slowly after therapy, it just came back. So, I mean, I can't go to a therapist for the rest of my life. But yeah. So thank God for medicine. Thank God, because, and also I'm not on my dad's insurance anymore because I'm 26, so I use GoodRx. And this is not sponsored, but I just want to let you know, if you don't have insurance, it is a godsend, because usually, like, typically I think my medicine, I have 3 prescriptions, and I think it combined was like, would be like 500 or 600 or something, up in the like almost $1,000. And with GoodRx, I literally saved so much money that I think I ended up paying like $50 instead of like so much. And I was so happy because I was so stressed, but I really needed to get insurance, health insurance. But I just turned 26 a few months ago, so I'm like, I can like not have it for a little bit. I don't really go to the doctors ever, but obviously like I know that I'm gonna need to get it at some point, but whatever. And also when I had insurance, I had to pay more of a copay for my doctor's appointments. It was 200, and then once I got off of it, I had a doctor's appointment right after that, and she was like, "Okay, it's 100." And I'm like, "Wait, why is it 100? It was 200 when I had insurance." And she's like, "Oh, it's less because you don't have to meet like the whatever, I don't know what it's called on insurance, but oh, the deductible." And I was like, "Oh, that makes so much sense. What's the point then?" Because I had to reach like a $7,500 deductible that would have taken me so long. I would have rather just not had insurance and then paid half the amount. Okay, sorry. Let's go. That was obviously the end of it, and I love that for her. Thank God. Like, I would have loved to read what the people in the comments were saying about the other post. That was like, people in the comments were thinking that they were trying to like kill her or something, because that is crazy. And it does sound like in a way that they were like wanting her to die, kind of. Okay. All right, let's read this one. This one's pretty short. Okay. Am I the asshole for wanting to put my husband on spousal/child support? Let me take a drink. Okay. My husband and I got into a big argument over how unhappy I am in the marriage, and I've decided to end the marriage. 10 years ago, 10 years together, 3 years married. We live in separate homes at the moment because I was apartment hunting for a bigger space since we have a child now, 12 months old. He's walked out and went to stay back at his parents' home. It's been over 2 days since I've heard from him. This is not the first time he's walked out and not communicated with me. This is his typical actions when we have a big argument. I'm left to care for our child like I'm a single parent. He hasn't reached out to check to see if his child... He hasn't reached out to check to see about his child and missed his 12-month pediatrician appointment that he knew about and had saved in his phone calendar. I've been contemplating on applying for spousal support and child support now that I'm officially ending things. Am I the asshole for planning on blindsiding him with this court order? He's always acted like a 50-50 man, but he doesn't do anything financially to contribute to the home unless I ask him for half the rent or constantly explain how he doesn't financially help out. I've always been a stay-at-home mom, part-time career worker. I'm going to need his financial support to still find a place for our child and myself since we live in a major city that has extremely expensive housing costs. Am I the asshole for not reaching out and telling him I'm going to file for child support? That's actually crazy. He doesn't even... You have to ask him to pay rent? What? Girl, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. You should go for child support if you are divorcing, but remember, he is going to go for 50% custody. With his documented ghosting and the child being so young, the courts very likely won't jump to 50-50. If he asks for 50-50, courts are liable to give it to him. I had a restraining order against mine, and no one in the courtroom batted an eye when he asked for 50-50. The restraining order was for him and you, correct? Not him and the child. This is how the courts must compartmentalize things. Each part is taken separately. I have a restraining order against my ex that also applies to our child. While he didn't end up getting 50-50, he did get very generous visitation. He pled down a child endangerment charge to just harassment against me, and because he wasn't convicted of child endangerment, the courts were generous. My daughter's lawyer actually fought for him to get 50-50 because he was a stay-at-home dad for a few years. He was a stay-at-home dad because he refused to get a job. I'm on the verge of not having her more time in the year, like teetering on the edge. If he wasn't late 9 times out of 10, it would be closer to 50-50. That's crazy. I don't think a person that is like harassing and almost like got a child endangerment charge should ever have the right to even see their child, to be honest. Sorry. But that's really that, because that was posted 22 hours ago. Oh, actually, someone told me that I should read this story, so I'm going to read this story. Am I the asshole for jumping out of the way when my niece and nephew tried to push me into a pool, resulting in them falling in? My folks decided to host a barbecue because I guess that's what older people do. I declined because I really don't like my 2 sisters, their husbands, or their kids. Wife and I are child-free. Mom then pressured the wife. Long story short, we went. By the time we arrived there were about 20 people. My sisters and their husbands were already solidly buzzed, drunk really. My mom was spending 100% of her time trying to keep the nieces and nephews ages 7 to 11 more or less under control. My dad had strategically retreated to the whirlpool part of the pool with a small cooler full of beers. Wife and I made small talk with miscellaneous people, ate food, and had a frozen margarita. Sisters and brother-in-laws took turns criticizing us for being late, not being in our swimsuits, and screwing up the vibe. Whatever, typical suburban summer get-together. About 45 minutes in, 2 of the kids ran at one of the neighbor guests who was standing next to the pool and pushed her in. She was at the pool steps, stumbled in, but didn't fall, so only got half wet. She was clearly very unhappy about it, but she didn't make a scene. Just went over to where the parents were, grabbed their towels, dried herself off, and left. Sisters and brother-in-laws thought it was all great fun. A bit later, I was standing a few few feet away from the pool chatting away with someone, I saw 3 of the kids running full tilt at me from the corner of my eye. Obviously, I was next. Not that it's terribly difficult to outwit young kids, but I just jumped out of their way at the last second. All 3 of them ran straight into the pool at full speed. Most of the other guests, including my wife and me, started laughing, but their moms, who, as I mentioned, were pretty shit-faced, absolutely freaked out. Apparently, 2 of the kids couldn't swim, even though they were in swimsuits. Since I wasn't in swim gear, I stepped back from the pool and let other people fish the kids out. The kids were bawling their heads off like they'd lost a limb. At that point, all hell broke loose. The 4 drunk parents were yelling at everyone in general and me in particular for nearly letting their kids down. Oh fuck. The 4 drunk parents were yelling at everyone in general and me in particular for nearly letting their kids drown. And also because 2 of the kids had been videoing the trick using their parents' iPhones, which was now at the bottom of the pool. One of my brother-in-laws got into the pool trying to retrieve the iPhones, but his BMI and BAC made that impossible. No one else volunteered to help, unsurprising given that my sisters were still bitching at everyone. I told my sisters it was their job to watch their kids, and that if anything had happened to them, it would have been their responsibility, not mine. There were some pretty strong words on both sides. Wife and I left after the other brother-in-law fell over and face-planted while yelling at us. Now they're saying I should have let the little shits knock me into the pool and have their fun and ruin my phone. So, am I the asshole? Side note, Dad, of course, never got out of the whirlpool. That's literally my dad. No, you're not the asshole. What? I would not want to be pushed into the pool with my phone either, especially if I didn't have my swimsuit on. I would be like, okay, bye. I don't understand. Obviously, these people are so drunk, so, like, when they woke up, were they still thinking that they were in the right? Because I feel like at that moment, it would be, like, I would have the scaries. Because I'd be like, oh, my God, I freaked out when, like, my kids were being little shits. How about control your children? And maybe, like, I mean, I understand, like, you still want to have fun and get, like, have some drinks, but maybe if your children are around, you shouldn't be, like, getting that drunk. Maybe you should just, like, you know, get a little tipsy where you're still, like, coherent and you're not face planning or, like, not, like, literally dying. Okay. There's an update. There's actually a lot of updates, so this one might be long. First off, my folks tell me that my nieces and nephews are all good swimmers and that they use the pool all the time. The 7-year-old is still a beginner, but he loves the water. My sister just said they couldn't swim, so I'd look bad. To be fair, none of the kids are allowed in the deep end, which is where they fell in. It was the 2 10-year-olds and the 9-year-olds who tried to push me into the pool. After we left, the party ended on a pretty sour note. My drunk brother-in-law, who face-planted while yelling at me, had to go to urgent care place and get his face stitched up. He was too toasted to drive, so Dad took him. Dad was not very happy about this. Late that evening, my sister started a group text and said some really nasty crap. Their husbands threw in a few comments as well. Wife and I blocked 4 of them. My mom called me. She was pretty upset about what they said. She and Dad were in the chat, and I don't blame her. Because of the text, my folks insisted my sister's brother-in-laws come over the next day on Sunday without their kids to get some things straight and lay down some ground rules. Mom's wording. The result was a contrite of unenthusiastic apology from the siblings via my mom's phone. I'm glad my wife was with me when they called her hard. Oh my God, I feel so dumb right now. I'm glad my wife was with me when they called. Her hard stares kept me from saying what I wanted to. I just told them thanks and that we felt no need to discuss it further. Since I thought things were settled, I unblocked them. That evening, I got a text from one of the brother-in-laws telling me the phone cost XXX amount and asking when I'd be paying for them. WTF, I replied never, took a screenshot of his text and forwarded it to my folks with a note that we were done with this nonsense, we're going to no contact with sisters and spouses and not to invite us anymore for the holidays or get-togethers if they'll be present. Then I blocked the sisters and their spouses again. At that point, The shit really hit the fan. Dad called them and ripped them a new one. Among other things, he told them the grandkids were not welcome at his place indefinitely. Since my mom regularly provides free babysitting, that got them pretty rattled. He also banned them from using the vacation house and told them my wife and I actually own it, not he and mom. This completely freaked them out. Both of my sister's families use the place a lot, including having their friends up for weekend getaways. This was very much out of character for my folks. They'd clearly had it, and for reference, I never wanted my sisters to know we owned the place. We bought it for my folks. They'd always wanted a place in the mountains. Keeping the ownership quiet was just a way to avoid drama with my siblings. A couple of days later, my sisters and their husbands came to our place unannounced to apologize in person. We were out to dinner, and they left a note. One sister also called me at work, too. I sent her to the voicemail. We've decided being no contact is the best thing for the indefinite future, and haven't interacted with them for the last 3+ weeks. Personally, I'm done. They can go pound sand. That's like, really, that's so, you're stupid. I'm not paying for shit. I would be like, I would say the same thing. I'd be like, never. When are you paying for my boob job? Exactly. Not your responsibility. Okay, I have to go back for update 2. We have update 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Wow. We love that. Okay. Well, it's been an interesting last few weeks, or last few days. I thought the shit had hit the fan before, but it was more of a fart compared to what's happened this week. For this to make sense, I need to provide some financial context. My folks haven't ever been any good at saving money. I've been doing their taxes for years, so I know pretty much everything about them money-wise. Their house is paid for, and they have minimal debt, but they didn't save much for retirement. Both of them get Social Security. Dad gets a solid pension, and they have a bit of savings, but there's no treasure chest in the basement. I bought their current car for them after they retired, a retirement present, so they could have something nice to drive. It was the first car in probably 20 years they didn't lease. My sisters are convinced the folks are dripping with money and that our parents will be leaving the two of them everything since I don't need more money, so they've never cared about saving either. Turns out my oldest sister and her husband, they have 3 kids, have been living beyond their means for some time and are in financial straits. They've maxed out their credit cards and are behind on their car leases to the point that one of them is about to get repossessed. He'd bragged in the past about making X per year, but it turns out to be about half that. She confessed all this to Mom on Tuesday because they need a loan and this was a WTF moment for Mom and Dad, that for the last 3 years, instead of staying at the vacation house regularly, she's actually been renting it out once a month or so and pocketing the cash. We're talking $2,000 for a weekend and at least $4,000 for a week. With her being cut off from using the place, she'd had to cancel one group already. She's now worried they'll lose everything. My folks aren't in any position to give them a loan. That's actually crazy. Sorry, I lost my freaking place. My other sister was aware of her renting out the place, but of course hasn't ever said anything. I suspect she's done the same thing as well because I went up there once to drop off an ATV I've had worked on, and there was a family there who claimed to be staying there with my sister / her family, and that they'd gone to town for something. At that time, I let it go. I figured she'd loan out the house to some friends, but I've always wondered. I found all this through my folks, who are pretty stressed about it. Mom more than Dad. He's mainly just pissed off about it all. I know Dad feels betrayed, and I imagine he's embarrassed that he's in no position to help his daughter out. He did reiterate that as long as it's up to him, the girls won't be using the vacation home anytime soon. My folks let me know what's going on because they figured my sisters would put a full court press on me next, and they were right. On Thursday, my sisters came to our place again without husbands this time and waited outside the door until I got home. I had to choose between fighting with them in public, them making a scene if I went in without them, or letting them in, so I let them in. I got a bullshit story from the older sister with the younger one backing her up regarding why I needed to let them use the mountain place again immediately. They also said I've been a shitty brother and that I needed to step up and plan on paying for their kids' college tuition since that's what my family does. I let them pitch their story, then called them out based on what my folks had told me. Things went to shit from there. There was denial, crying, cursing, yelling, you name it. I swear my ears are still ringing 2 days later. I won't lie, I said some really mean and shitty things to them, but nothing that wasn't true. They finally left about an hour. After that, I took a shower and laid down. When I got up, my wife was home, and her first words were that she'd had to block more phone numbers because my sisters were blowing up our phones from new ones. Folks messaged me yesterday asking me to call. I'm sure my sisters have told them some bullshit version of what happened, but I'm not up to rehashing it yet. I'm usually a pretty energetic person, but this drama has beaten me down. I had just enough energy today to drive up to the vacation house and padlock the entrance gate shut. I'm the only one with a key. I'm guessing that will be enough to ensure my siblings leave the place alone. They'd probably die trying to walk 400 yards up a hill to get to the house. Wow, these sisters, they be planning and scheming. That's just crazy. But low key, they should rent out their place because that's a lot of money. $4,000 for 1 week to stay there. I would be making bank if I owned that house. Are you kidding? You'd literally be making what, $16,000 a month if you booked the thing, like fully for the month. Sorry, that's not what the story is about at all, but that's just so crazy. They're literally making so much money off of not even owning the place. Okay, that was update 2, right? Yeah. Now we're going to update 3. I don't even know how this can get like any more drama filled. Yet another update regarding the cluster F that is my extended family. Thought it might be time given what's gone on over the past 2 weeks. After my sisters came to my place, my mom and dad told me they were done with managing the vacation home. Sounded like the sisters had been pressuring them to let them use the place again. Basically, my folks handed the responsibility for place over to me and told me it was my problem from here on out. Up until then, they'd kept track of who would be using it when, and they'd taken care of routine maintenance, placing worn out items, etc. In any case, they decided they didn't want to be in the middle of this crap. While I don't blame them, I'm disappointed because the damn place was supposed to be something for them to enjoy and hang out, and they use it regularly. Plus, I've never cared that they let the sisters and their family use it, because really I've always thought that was my parents' call, even though I technically own it. But now my folks are going to be in the position of not having access without me being involved, and that changes the whole dynamic of the place. I've taken several steps to secure the place. I already mentioned that I locked the gate. It was a heavy-duty chain and the best lock I could find. I also did a full reset on all the door keypads and created all new codes. Security cameras got installed yesterday, which is actually pretty cool because the installer convinced me to put a high-res one that looks out over the valley. The system cost me way more than I thought it would be, but the peace of mind is worth it. The installer also put up signs on the property saying the place was monitored by video. I also installed a heavy duty lockout for the water shutoff / drain valve. I hope to hell I don't lose the keys for it, because if I do, it's going to be a bear to try to remove. Haven't told anyone but my wife that the water is locked off, and again, only we have the keys. Last week, I got a separate call at my office from both the husband trying to convince me to let them use the house like they always have. The older one had gone up with some friends for a guy's hangout, but couldn't get in because of the gate lock. He was pretty pissed and embarrassed about being locked out. I'm sure he would have broken the lock if he could have. During his call, he kept bouncing between pushy and victimhood. At one point, he threatened to rip that gate out of the goddamn ground. He also admitted they'd been renting it out to a few friends, that they needed the money, I was ruining their business, and that I should refund their guests' money. Me? F that. I should have recorded the conversation with him, but I don't know how to do that from an office phone anyway. The other brother-in-law just sounded like he was being made to call by my sister. He didn't really put up a fight when I told him to not plan on ever using that place again, in case I told them they can't use the place, and to not ask again. At this point, I'm considering selling the vacation home. Wife and I don't use it nearly enough to justify keeping it, and it's not like there's going to be any family get-togethers anytime soon. I mentioned selling it to my folks. Their response was pretty much whatever. I'd more than double my money by selling it. The place consists of 3 lots with killer views and is at the end of a private road, but I'll probably wait for a while to sell. Doing so now would be an emotional decision. My sisters and I aren't currently speaking, and I have no plans to initiate contact. I don't know what the status between them and my folks are, and I don't want to. On the upside, we spent an evening with my folks last week, went to a new restaurant, which was nice. No one brought up any of this crap. Mom did update us on the nieces and nephews. She's spending time with them at their homes. Sorry, this update isn't full of laughs or owns. That's just life sometimes. Like I said, he should not sell it. He should absolutely be renting it out. You'd make double your money selling it, but you would make so much more by just renting it, like your family was renting it anyways. But, and I don't know how any of that stuff works, but I'm pretty sure you can get someone to like manage it, right? And you can pay them to like manage it as like an Airbnb or whatever, and then like you literally just don't do anything and you just make money. I would do that. Especially if you already have it, like you already have the place, it's not like you have to buy it. But also, it's kind of annoying that the parents are kind of seeming like rude to me. Like, why are they being rude? They literally, like, your son bought that place for you. Why are they like, it's your problem now? Like, whatever, it's your problem. That's rude. He literally got that so that you guys could like have a nice time because you wanted that. Like, you wanted that kind of house. Like, why are you being rude about it? Alrighty. Here is update number 4. A couple of people have asked for an update, so here you go. I hired a guy to manage / look over the vacation home. He lives in the area, takes care of his folks, and manages a good number of properties. Some are vacation rentals, some are weekend places like ours. He has access to my camera feeds and does a physical check on the place every week or two. I think he may have the best job in the mountains. He gets paid to drive around with his dog, walk around the properties, and hangs out on people's decks whenever he feels like it. He also has a camera feed from a house near the start of the private road that takes still shots whenever a vehicle gets past it. $450 per month, plus he'll do basic maintenance and repairs on an hourly basis. He's friends with all of the sheriff's deputies too. Got a lot of peace of mind from doing this, and he sends photos from his walks to everyone once or twice a week. I have to brag a bit on my parents. I got all this from them tonight at dinner. They were getting pressure from my sister to demand that I open up the vacation house to everyone for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving up there had become quite the tradition for the family, not for me and my wife. We've gone once in 7 years. My dad refused to bother me about it because he knew I'd say no. They came up with what I think is a great plan. Announced that they were organizing the Thanksgiving gathering, and if everyone split the cost in advance, they'd rent an Airbnb in the mountains. Otherwise, they'd host Thanksgiving at their place, or one of the sisters could host it. This caused a fight between the sisters because the middle sister was all for doing the Airbnb, but the oldest one doesn't have any money. The deadline to commit to the Airbnb has passed. It looks like Thanksgiving will be at my parents' place. Regardless, we won't be there. My parents have asked that we not sell the place for now. They decided they'd still like to use it occasionally, but not until my sisters have come to terms with the new normal. And of course, they'd probably like it if everyone could get together there again down the road. But that's just not going to happen. I'd just as soon sell it and move on at this point, but I can live with keeping it if my folks do use it now and again. Plus, it will be worth even more down the road. Wife and I have stayed in no contact with my sisters and their husbands. Both sisters have called from new numbers, FU, Google Voice, and left messages insisting that I meet with them for our parents' sake to work out how everyone can use the family vacation home. They called my wife too. I'm glad I was already in the habit of not answering calls if I don't recognize the number. I honestly don't know if they're delusional or if they think they can bully me into giving them access again. I don't really care. My parents tell me that the oldest sister and her husband are getting out of the leases for their SUV and big ass truck and are selling their jet skis and some other shit they never needed. That's going to be really hard on her. She's quite the bragger and won't like being seen in something older, smaller, cheaper. My brother-in-law's identity is very much wrapped up with his truck as well. He even has a small tattoo of the truck's company logo, which frankly is one of the many reasons why he and I never hung out. Several people have suggested I make the vacation home into an Airbnb. I don't plan to do so, at least anytime soon. I know it would make money, but it would cause an incredible amount of drama across the family and would stress out my parents. They don't need that. It would be a hassle to remove personal things my folks have there. That stuff has nowhere to go, and there would be wear and tear on the place, and I'm sure it would take the same amount of time on my part, even though I'd use a manager to do it. Just not worth it to me. What? The fact that these sisters are like so entitled, like you think you're entitled to this family vacation home. It's not the family vacation home. Like your brother literally owns it. He can decide what he wants to do with it. And not only that, but why are you worried about drama? Like you can do whatever you want with the property that you own. If you wanted to make it into an Airbnb, it's no one's business. Who cares if it would cause an incredible amount of drama? Okay, get over it. why are these people so annoying? I truly can't take it. I would be like, I would be so annoyed. I would genuinely never, like, I don't know how he hasn't picked up the phone and just yelled. If that were my sister, I'd be like, girl, literally STFU. Please, you are so annoying. I'll do what I want. Goodbye. You never allowed in my vacation home ever again. Go buy your own. Like, sorry that you decided to be an asshole. I can't believe all this has happened just because of this pool incident. And there's still 3 updates, guys. I don't know if I can read I don't know if I can read any more of these updates. I don't know if I can read any more of these. Are you guys going to be mad at me if I don't read them? I just feel like they're all saying the same stuff and it's so long. So he keeps saying so much has happened, but like nothing has happened. Oh my god, this one's so long. I just wish he would have maybe done like 2 updates, because a lot of this could have just been said in like 2 updates, you know? Like a lot of it was just repetitive. Things have gone to hell. I really, truly do not think anything like this would happen. Short version, my brother-in-laws broke into my vacation home and were arrested. They've been charged with breaking and entering, destruction of property, and communicating threats. All Class 1 misdemeanors. I've refused to drop charges. I might do so if I'm fully paid for the damage they caused. They were still in jail as of Saturday evening. I assume they're out by now. Things had settled down, at least I thought so. I haven't seen or heard from my sisters in over 6 weeks. My parents went up to the house for a week and had a good time. David, the property manager I hired, has worked out great. He's done a couple of repairs I asked him to do, and I've given him a list that he's going to work on. He usually sends a photo or 2 of wildlife or a sunset to his clients every week. Was kind of making me want to get up there. Friday after Thanksgiving, my brother-in-laws went to my vacation home. They used an angle grinder to cut through the chain on the driveway gate and damaged the gate in the process. They tried to get in through the front door, ruined the lock set, and gouged the door badly. They finally got through the utility floor door and locked the internal door. They also broke into the barn. I'm not sure why. When they went out through the front door, where they were met by sheriff's deputies and David gets notifications from the camera system when there's activity. He saw what was going on and called the sheriff's department. According to David, the brother-in-laws tried to bullshit their way out of it, but the deputies didn't buy it. Breaking into an empty house is a pretty serious thing up there. Usually it's meth heads who ransack the place and hawk everything. When the brother-in-laws were arrested, they freaked out big time. They were saying they were going to beat the hell out of me, etc. Not smart to do in front of cops. David and the sheriff's office tried calling my wife and me to see what we wanted to do, but we were spending the day with her parents and had left our phones in the car so we could be in vacation mode. So they booked the brother-in-laws on everything, which is why I would have asked them to do anyways. Brother-in-laws called their wives from jail, who of course freaked out. They called my folks, tried to call me, they're blocked. Tried to find a lawyer up there to arrange bail. Not easy to do given that it's a rural area and was a holiday weekend. Older sister has 0 cash and her cards are maxed out, so if they made bail, my middle sister would have had to pay for both husbands. I know they were still in jail as of Saturday afternoon. We didn't check our phones until late Friday, the way home from the in-laws. There were a ton of calls and messages from my dad, David, and the sheriff's department. Talk about ruining a great day. I was in such a good mood till I looked at my phone. My wife read through some of the texts and listened to the messages, read them out to me, and by the time I got home I had some idea of what was going on. I put my brain back into thinking mode, tried to get past my anger, failed, called David, and got the rundown on what happened and how bad the damage was, resulting in more anger. I ended Friday by calling the sheriff's department and telling them there was no misunderstanding. The brother-in-laws had absolutely no right to be on my property, and I wanted to press charges. I didn't call my folks back, barely slept. I waited until Saturday afternoon to call my folks. They were pretty rattled about it all, my mom in particular. My sisters had browbeat them into telling me I should tell the cops it was all a mistake and that I wanted the charges dropped. I refused flat out. Told them there was no way I'd do that until I spoke with an attorney, and also not until I was paid full and whatever it will cost to fix everything 100%. My mom was crying hard by the time we got off the phone, which of course made me feel like shit. My dad suggested it was time for a complete start over, but also said he thought they needed to pay for the damage. I haven't gone up to the property yet. There's nothing I can do, and I'll probably go nuts when I see the damage in person. The photos are bad enough. I'm hoping tomorrow or Wednesday, but my job isn't one I can just wander off from for non-emergencies. I've left messages with 2 attorney friends asking them to recommend the right lawyers to go after my sister and brother-in-laws. I don't know what I can do exactly, but I'm hoping I can get restraining orders. I have all the texts they've sent me that might help. I'm strongly considering suing them for the money they made renting the place. I don't care about the cash, but it will help make them as miserable as possible. The gloves are definitely off at this point. A couple side notes: brother-in-laws had no idea I'd hire someone to keep an eye on things and that there were cameras now. My parents knew, but I hadn't told them because they knew it would just give my sisters reason to drama up. There are signs on the property stating it's being monitored with cameras and no trespassing signs, though. My wife has completely had it at this point. I don't blame her. She's been more than patient about it all, but she reached her limit and was not shy about letting me know. She told me how I deal with this, but she told me it's up to me how I deal with this, but that she thought they all needed to be taught a hard lesson. Older brother-in-law likely won't face any repercussions at his job over this, but middle brother-in-law has a security clearance, so he might. I'm hoping that will be a motivation for middle brother-in-law to pay for the damages himself immediately. David, the caretaker, has an interesting background. I knew he was friends with some of the deputies, figured it was because they were all locals. I was wrong. He was a cop in a big city for years, was shot on duty, and afterwards decided to quit and move on up to where his parents had retired. He has some PTSD over it all. His dog is a certified service animal and is usually with him. I know law enforcement people tend to hang together. I guess that's how he became friends with this group. I don't want to see or speak with these a-holes for the rest of my life. I know this is in direct conflict with overwhelming urge to make their lives as miserable as possible. Oh, I don't know. That's crazy. I don't understand what these people were expecting. Like, what they were going to break into the place and then what? Take it over? Overthrow the government? Like, what were you planning on doing, sir? What was the point of this? You guys were going to stay in it for a weekend? Like, I don't understand. Was it worth it? I don't see a world in which that would be worth it, to be honest with you. I'm just actually confused on how there's still 2 more updates. They better be short because there's no way. Oh my god. Oh my god. Stop. Stop right now. This one is like the longest one. I think the corner has been turned on this crap. Thursday afternoon, I got a courier delivered envelope at my office, and it was a signed letter from both my brother-in-laws and a cashier's check for $5,000. In the letter they made, that I have to say was a really sincere apology. Among other things, they acknowledged breaking in, acknowledged it was wrong, said the $5,000 was to pay for damage, and that they'd pay more if it cost more than that. Also said they'd stay away from the vacation home unless my wife and I specifically invited them. They also asked that I do what could to get the charges dropped as soon as possible because they both could lose their jobs, and that they'd agree to a restraining order or whatever else it took for that to happen. There was more as well, all consolatory, but that's the gist of it. To say this was a shock was an understatement. It was obviously a total of 180 from their past behavior. I'd already made an appointment with an attorney to see about suing my brother-in-laws over the damage and try to get a restraining order. I called him and told him what I just received, and he agreed to meet me at the end of the day instead of the end of the week and told me to not deposit the check. We met for about 2 hours. He ended up recommending the wife and I do a settlement and mutual release agreement with all 4 of them, sisters and brother-in-law. He said if we went after them via lawsuit that we'd almost certainly win, but that it could take 2 years or more. There would be a sizable upfront legal fees, and that we might never see any money. He also said that we could keep the $5,000 free and clear even if we didn't let them off the hook. He's drawing up the agreement. It won't be ready until Monday. The agreement will include what's essentially the civil equivalent of a restraining order. I'd already asked my property manager to work up a bid to get the damage repaired. I called him after the meeting and asked that he get me as close to an estimate as possible ASAP. Got that Friday. He thinks it will take around $4,000 to fix everything. Most of that is for the front door. On Friday, my attorney contacted me about both brother-in-laws, told them what we were proposing, and advised them to get their own lawyers. They both agreed to it. The middle brother-in-law told him they could afford to either pay for the damages or pay for the lawyer, but not both, and they figured a lawyer wouldn't make any difference given that they had really no defense for what they did. His biggest concern was if the charges could be dropped. From what I can tell, they're willing to do anything / sign anything to make this all go away. My attorney also called the DA's office on Friday to discuss dismissing the charges, got the name of the prosecutor, and left them messages, but has not spoken to them yet. He thinks they'll dismiss the charges because the brother-in-laws are paying up, but they have no priors. But then again, he's not a criminal lawyer. Also said I should be prepared to drive up Monday or Tuesday and tell the prosecutor in person that I want everything dismissed. He also advised me to continue to be no contact with sisters and brother-in-laws, especially for the next 6 months, and that it will be really important to follow the terms of agreement when it comes to future interactions with them. I'm guessing that the brother-in-law's change of heart is due to them having figured out what's at stake for them, what it's going to cost them, legal fees and fines, and so on. There's also the highly unlikely possibility that they could go to jail for up to 120 days, and as I've mentioned, one of them has a security clearance for his job that could be at risk, so this is their Hail Mary pass to keep their normal lives. This isn't a perfect resolution to the situation, but at least it will get me past the legal and financial parts of the shit show that I've been in for the past few months. I doubt I'll ever have a civil relationship with any of them ever again, and that's fine. What I want most at this point is to close off, get on with my life, and never speak to them again. I'm exhausted from this, and wife pretty much feels the same way. Kind of a side issue, but getting the written apology was weirdly a huge moment for me. I wasn't expecting that ever, but apparently it matters to me quite a bit. The money doesn't feel particularly important at this moment. I'll damn sure take it though. Also, I'm pretty certain my middle sister and her husband came up with the money. The cashier's check is from the credit union of the company he works for. Once things are signed, I plan to make one more update, probably just an edit to this post. I'm sorry for being so pedantic. Writing these posts has helped clear my head, and the feedback has really helped. I truly appreciate everyone's comments. Whatever. I'm like, I don't care about your things. I'm trying to get through this because you damn near posted a novel about these updates. Okay. This is the final update, guys. The final update. I'm so sorry if I'm boring the absolute hell out of you right now. It's like interesting, but it's just like kind of repetitive a little bit, and he's just like adding a little bit too much detail, and I don't know if like you guys like that or not, or if you just rather have like a story and then like that's it, or if you like how many updates he's provided, because I can personally say that I don't really love all the updates, and I wish he would have just like condensed it a little bit. Like, sir, you could have spent all this time writing like a book, and then you could have made money off of it for real. All right. Tuesday morning, I met with my attorney, went over the agreement, changed a couple of minor things, and he sent it to my sisters and brother-in-law. It included a requirement that they pay my attorney's fee, about $3,000. They weren't happy about that and tried to negotiate it away, but he told them that they either accept it as is or there would be no deal at all, and we'd proceed with suing them for the money they got from renting out the place, wear and tear for renting it, repair costs from their break-in, emotional distress, lost income from having to deal with this, attorney fees, and whatever else we could. He also told them I would push hard with the DA's office to prosecute every charge. Short version, they came and signed. I wasn't there. I'm told it was a pretty tense environment, that the middle brother-in-law appeared to have taken charge, and that at one point he told both of my sisters to shut the hell up, or he was walking away from the whole thing, making his own deal with us, and the rest of them could all go to hell. They provided another cashier's check for $2,500, claiming that's all they had. It's close enough to what we were going to accept it as the final payment. Attorney also told me that everyone was very cold and curt towards one another, but that they all managed to keep it together long enough to sign it and left without making too big of a scene. I drove up to the vacation house early yesterday to check out the damage and meet with the DA's office. Seeing the damage made my blood boil. It was so senseless. I was so pissed that I was ready to eat the cost of the repairs and do everything I could to ruin their lives. Tried walking it off, failed utterly. Ended up calling a good friend who was kind enough to stay on the phone for over an hour, letting me spew and vent. He eventually got me back to focusing on the bigger picture of putting this behind me and getting on with my life. Honestly, I'm still not sure that's what I want to do, but I settled down enough to get some food in me and I felt better. After lunch, I went to the DA's office. Hadn't made an appointment and had to wait a while, but got to meet with the assistant DA who's got the case. Short version is that since I don't want to prosecute, I keep saying short version, but girl, you don't know what a short version is. I don't want to prosecute, and the brother-in-laws have already paid for the damages that they're willing to drop all the charges except trespassing, which in this case will be a Class 2 misdemeanor. The brother-in-laws have to plead guilty and pay for whatever the fine judge sets. I'm also told that if they fight the trespassing charge or ever so much as fart in public up there, that it would go very poorly for them. It helped that the brother-in-laws didn't resist arrest. If they had, none of the charges would have been dropped. I also went by the sheriff's office to thank them for getting in there so quickly with everything. Wanted to thank the deputies personally, but only spoke to the dispatch person. And I tried to meet up with David, the property manager, but couldn't get a hold of him. A couple of notes: the agreement includes no contact clause. Basically, if any of them show up where my wife and I are, or the other way around, whoever got there last has to leave immediately. No contact except through attorneys or other mutually agreed upon third parties. They get to keep whatever they made from renting the vacation house. My big give, unless I have tax consequences, which they will be responsible for, and we release each other from all other liabilities up through the present. There's more to it than that, but those are the high points. Wife and I will sign the agreement later today. After that, I can't talk about most of this, but I can talk around it. I think this is my final update regarding all this nonsense, but I'll respond to comments if I can. As I've said before, posting about all of this and reading folks. Okay, whatever. Don't care about that. Well, I love that you are so passionate about giving us updates for, like, truly. But, as I've said, please, sir, you could have condensed that a little bit, honestly. He kept saying short version, short version, short version. Like, sir, you don't know the definition of a short version. I mean, it's really crazy that just one tiny little thing of, like, these little kids trying to push them in the pool and then ending up, like, going in the pool themselves has caused this. Like, they literally are never gonna speak again to your own sisters, and that's really crazy. I mean, I cannot imagine getting in such a big feud with my family that I just never spoke to them again and was, like, legally they weren't allowed to speak to me. That would be crazy and honestly pretty traumatic. Like, I'd be really sad because I love my family. And it's not like I don't talk to my family that much, but I would be so upset if, like, I feel like I would be so depressed because I'd be like, I mean, who do I have if I don't have my family? Like, that's just really sad. And I feel bad for him, honestly. But I do think that he needs to, like, calm down a little bit. I get being angry, but it's like, you don't need to just, it's just not really helping you to be so angry about it and to be, like, wanting to ruin their lives and make their lives miserable. It's better to just do what you can and just take a breath, because at the end of the day, continuing that would just make your life harder and give you more stress. And, like, yeah, what they did was wrong, but it's like, okay, I think they've gotten what they deserved, and there's no point in interacting any further than that. I would just want to be done and over with it and just, like, okay, we're never talking again. This is that, wipe my hands and be like, move on from the situation, because, like, it's just not worth it. Like, anger just is so, it's so, like, detrimental to your mental health to, like, just feel so angry and resentful against people for that long and, like, just be on a be on like a tour or like whatever to try to make someone's life miserable is just gonna, in turn, it's gonna make your life miserable. And you did what you could. Like, them going to jail, that was enough. Like, I would be like, yeah, go to jail and then pay me this money, and then that's all I really care about, because I'm so over this. I don't want any contact with you ever again. You are so dumb. And bye. Because they're making your life miserable by you trying to make their life miserable. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. Damn. I can't believe you did that to me. Okay, well, that's the last story, since there was about 97 and a half stories in that one story. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think about that. Like, obviously, I can't just be like, read the story and then not read the updates, you know? So, like, I kind of got trapped there, but I felt bad because I didn't know if, like, you guys liked that, or if you were like, oh my God, when is this going to be over? You know, like, are you even still here? Like, hi, are you still there? Are you awake? Wake up, because I feel bad. But let me know if you like that, or like if you would have rather had me just stop and not read all of the updates, or like read, I don't know. There's no way I could have just read like sporadically, because there was little details in each that you kind of needed to know to get to the final boss, you know? So, I don't know, but I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching. Today is, what is today? When I'm filming this, it's Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. So this episode is going to be up on Friday, and I will be in Miami about to board my cruise when this episode is airing. So, slay. I hope I have fun. And yeah, I was going to say something morbid, but I don't want to like speak that into existence for myself. But I'm really excited because I've never stayed in a balcony room on a cruise, and I feel like it's going to be fun. Like, I'm going to order my coffee in the morning, and I'm going to be drinking it like in my robe or something and enjoying the good life for like 3 days. Also, it's been so rainy here, so it's going to be nice to be in like a tropical environment. I hope you guys are having the best day, or you guys have the best day or the best night. It's Friday, so TGIF. Let me know what your plans are. Like, are you going to do anything this weekend? Are you going to have, like, go party? Or are you going to, like, chill? Are you going to rot? I just finished the show Siren. I literally watched it in, like, a week. Unfortunately, rotting is my talent. And it's kind of, honestly, embarrassing how good I am at it. And I can binge a show. I could binge that whole 3 seasons probably in one day. I could have. If it wasn't for my boyfriend, I would have. But anyways, love you guys. Comment, please. I want to talk to you. Subscribe if you haven't yet. And join the subreddit. It's in the description below. Okay? Love you.